The question is, which technique causes least apical blockage or clogging during root canal treatment? The options are step back, modified step back, crown down, and balance pose technique. Okay, so there are various techniques to perform root canal therapy. And see, the basic reason why you're performing a root canal therapy is in order to remove all the infected pulp. In addition to removing the infected pulp, you need to ensure that you're doing a proper cleaning and shaping so that the canal or the root is or the root canal rather is able to receive a filling material that is not going to hinder or is able to seal the entire remaining whatever canal space is left, so that you do not have a chance for reinfection. Okay, so now what happens is, usually more often than not, when you're performing a root canal therapy, once you have a necrosed pulp or a pulp in a state of irreversible pulpitis, the dentine that is going to be there surrounding the pulp, the circumpulpal dentine, that also ends up becoming infected. Now, because that dentine ends up becoming infected, you have to remove the dentine from there as well, so that there is no chance of reinfection. And that is one of the primary reasons why you perform a cleaning and shaping procedure, so that the infected dentine is removed. And in addition to removal of infected dentine, the canal is going to be able to receive a filling material which is not going to which is going to be able to seal the entire canal space completely. Okay, now there are various techniques that are used in order to ensure that you are able to remove all the infected dentine completely. And from age old times, you have the crown down technique, the step back technique, then there were modifications to these technique, you had the hybrid technique. So each of them were brought about in order to ensure that one primary problem of root canal therapy was tried to be solved. And what is that is, see, when like I told you, I'm removing the infected dentine. So when my instrument is going to be going into, this is my canal, like this is my dentinal wall, this is the canal space. What I am doing is, I am taking an instrument and I'm going to be trying to remove the dentine over here, which is infected, the circumpulpal dentine. Now, when I'm going to be removing this, I'm basically creating a form of shaving action. Now, because the shaving action is being created, most of the dentine will try to get engaged in the flutes of the instrument. However, some of the dentine can be pushed apically. Now, because the dentine can be pushed apically, it can lead to number one, an apical blockage in this region, because of which you won't be able to reach the apex and achieve a complete apical as well as coronal seal. Second is, all the dentine that gets accumulated over here is infected in nature. That means the patient will have symptoms of pain or can present with a flared up infection at a later point in time. So in order to avoid that, what you would do is, you would want to ensure that none of the dentinal shavings get deposited at the apical region. Rather, you would want to remove whatever dentinal shavings or dentinal shavings that are there, you would want to remove them out of the canal. That is the reason why you would want to ensure that whichever technique you are using to remove the dentine is not going to create any form of apical or apical blockage. Now, whichever technique we use, no matter whatever, it is going to cause some amount of dentinal shavings to be deposited either in the apex, or it is going to push the dentinal shavings beyond the apex. That is inevitable. Okay, but our aim should be that we try to achieve as minimal dentinal shavings deposited or being pushed beyond the apex as possible. What was this? So amongst the four options, I will be talking primarily about the four options that are there over here. So what is the traditional step back technique was, I will take a small file which is going to be my patency file. I'm going to go all the way up to I will measure my working length. If my working length is say 21 mm, and that is when I'm saying it is 0.5 mm away from the radiographic apex. Okay, so it is 21 mm. I will take a 15 number file, then I will take a 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. I will prepare at 21 mm, I will prepare until number 40. Then I will subtract 1 mm and I will take a 45 number file and I will prepare it at 20 mm. Then at 19 mm I will prepare 50. So I will decrease 1 mm each so that there is preparation of the entire canal all the way up to the coronal third, or sorry, the middle third. For the coronal third, what I would do is I will try to enlarge with files only. This was again I'm talking about the traditional step back. Okay. Then okay, one of the disadvantages of this procedure was that I am preparing the apex up to number 40. So I am trying to remove the dentinal shavings. Of course, you need to remember that irrigation was used in all of these systems. So I am irrigating the canal, but when I am irrigating, even if I have performed a proper step back, there is some dentinal shaving that is being deposited because I am going from bottom towards the top. So there was dentinal shavings that were being deposited because when I was introducing a file from the top to the bottom, it was pushing whatever remaining dentine was there in the periphery, which was loosely attached. So that was pushing, that they used to call pushing of the dentine into the apical region. Then came the crown down technique. This is one of the worst techniques because it caused maximum amount of dentinal shavings to be deposited below. So what you used to do is you used to take a GG drill, you used to enlarge the orifice, and from there you used to keep continuously going downwards all the way up to the apex. It is one of the worst techniques. Why? Because definitely it is going to push all the dentine which is there from the top to the bottom. So maximum amount of uh, dentinal shavings had gotten deposited in the crown down technique. Then came the balanced force technique. The balanced force technique is a very great. It is like I think one of the most uh, innovative and best methods that can be used when you're using hand instruments to remove whatever dentine is there. So what do you do is you take these are you use specifically the flex files, K flex files for this. You take the instrument, you go all the way up to the working length, and you rotate the instrument by 90 degrees. That is step 1. So what happens is the step 1 causes engagement of the file into the dentine. Step 2 is you go anti-clockwise by 270 degrees. Now in doing so, it ensures cutting of the dentine. In step 3, you again go clockwise 90 degrees. So what it does is the dentine that was cut gets engaged into the flutes, and by engagement of this dentine into the flutes, it removes only enough dentine that can be engaged within the flutes of the instrument, and that is the reason you use the flex files. So it gets engaged in the instrument, and step 4 is you just pull it out. When you pull it out, there is going to be all the dentine which was there, it has been present within the instrument only, or the flutes of the instrument, and it will just come out with the instrument. So your blockage or apical clogging was very less when you used this technique, and that is why this technique is very famous when you're using hand instrumentation in order to remove whatever dentinal shaving. And the apical region is going to be the most important region where you perform this so that you can ensure that your root canal therapy is a success. So coming to the question over here, the least clogging is going to be caused by balance force technique.